already bought into or been sold on the whole sweetness and light spirituality thing. They want to become better people, more open, more loving, happier, closer to God, and they want to achieve spiritual enlightenment because, as everybody knows, that's where the spiritual path leads. The yellow brick road may be a trip, but it's all about Oz, baby. They've been sold on the Enlightenment thing, and that's what they want. I don't know what they think enlightenment really is, because I only have them to go by, and they don't know. I ask, and I usually get the same vague answers about higher consciousness, Tat Von Asi, unity, bliss, oneness, no mind, and so forth. They peddle the same stuff to me that someone else peddled to them, with no real understanding being developed during the layover. Small wonder, since, to borrow from Gertrude Stein, there's no there. What they're describing is, for the most part, a whimsical, mythological sort of heaven, Shangri-La, nirvana for the Hindu-Buddhist New Age crowd who have managed to step out of their Judeo-Christian upbringing. There's just enough merit in their notions of enlightenment to make it sell. But at the end of the day, you're either a caterpillar or a butterfly. And the only way anyone will ever have even the slightest sense of what it means to be a butterfly is to become one. There are no butterfly experts among the caterpillars, despite innumerable claims to the contrary. And I encourage my students to at least consider the possibility that the world is up to its poles in caterpillars who quite successfully convince themselves and others that they are actually butterflies. Or, to say it plainly, the vast majority of the world's authorities on enlightenment are themselves not enlightened. They may be something, but they're not awake. An easy way to distinguish between caterpillars and butterflies is to remember that the enlightened don't attach importance to anything, and that enlightenment doesn't require knowledge. It's not about love or compassion or consciousness. It's about truth. Chapter 7. Neither holy nor wise. When the mind is at peace, the world, too, is at peace. Nothing real, nothing absent. Not holding on to reality, not getting stuck in the void. You are neither holy nor wise, just an ordinary fellow who has completed his work. Layman Pang. Marla comes and sits with me during today's quiet period. She's a little self-conscious and gives me an uncertain sidelong glance, as if not believing that it's really okay for her to be here. I don't think I put out much of a guru vibe, but I guess I must put out something because everyone reacts in a similar, reverential sort of way. I don't dress like a guru, and I don't talk like one. I don't carry flowers, perform miracles, smile beatifically, or radiate anything that I'm aware of. I think of myself as a pretty laid-back guy with only the weakest grasp of what it means to be a human among humans. It's like I can hum a few bars, but I've forgotten most of the words. I can't stand in line at the grocery and carry on a normal conversation if it gets much past the weather. I can't go to a bar and have a beer and shoot a game of pool because I can't pretend to share the experiences and interests of the other patrons. In other words, there's no commonality. Commonality at this level is so basic that it's probably not possible to imagine what it's like when it's not shared. No two humans could have less in common than any human and me. I am a member of no community. Because I live in a different paradigm, I am effectively set apart from humanity. Yep, here comes the vampire analogy again. When humans become vampires, they make a trade, even though they don't really understand what they're giving up or what they're getting into. Perhaps irresistible forces compel them, as they did me. To be enlightened, just to take the first step on the actual journey toward enlightenment, is to be henceforth and forever excluded from the whole human thing. I knew when I started on my own journey that it meant leaving behind human connectedness, and that was perfectly acceptable to me. No one gets to that point without being prepared, however naively, to pay the price. I actually don't care to be around Marla very much, not because she won't make any progress from her perspective while she's here, which she won't, and not because she'll quickly leave for the next cool-sounding spiritual adventure, which she will, but because the particular flavor, for want of a better word, of her ego is off-putting. Marla cloaks herself in spirituality rather than dealing with the fear she seeks to conceal. It's always fear beneath the surface, of course, no matter how it manifests. With Marla, the fear revolves around money and security and relationships and vanity, all boiling down to fear of rejection and loneliness, which further boils down to the black diamond at the heart of all fears, fear of no self. She's very self-possessed on the outside, calm, smooth, convinced that she's a very open and spiritually attuned person. But I'd much rather be with a raving loony who is directly confronting their bullshit than someone who spends all their energy repressing it. The cloaking thing always strikes a tinny note that would register as jarring and discordant to anyone able to hear it. Here's the most directly I am able to say this. The one and only truth of any person lies like a black hole at their very core. And everything else is just the rubbish and debris that covers the hole. Of course, to someone who is just going about their normal human existence undistracted by the larger questions, that rubbish and debris is everything that makes them who they are. But to someone who wants to get to the truth, who they are is what's in the way. All fear is ultimately fear of this inner black hole, and nothing on this side of that hole is true. The process of achieving enlightenment is about breaking through the blockage and stepping through the hole, and anything that's not about getting to and through the hole is just more rubbish and debris. I had an experience in meditation I want to share with you, Marla begins, and proceeds to reel off a string of insights that she feels aids her in becoming free of something or other. Or maybe she's overcome an obstacle or slain a dragon or something. I know within the first few words that she's trying to impress me so that I will reward her with praise. It's a common enough dynamic. She assumes we have an unspoken agreement in which her part is to reflect and reinforce my self-image as a great spiritual teacher, so that I, in turn, will reflect and reinforce her self-image as a very spiritual person. She assumes we have this unspoken agreement because she had it with the dozen or so other spiritual teachers, and it's always worked out well. A nice win-win situation. I interrupt. Have you heard the term Meikyo? I asked her. Yes, isn't it like something to do with... It's a Zen thing. Very handy term. In Zen, no one is interested in spiritual growth. No one is interested in self-exploration or self-realization. They're not trying to become better people or happier people. They're not following a spiritual path. They're following a wake-the-hell-up path. They're completely focused on the hot and narrow pursuit of enlightenment. There's no consolation prize, no secondary objective. Full awakening is what they signed up for. A Of course, as students, they had no real idea of what such a pursuit actually entails. So it's the job of the master to see that they stay on course. With me so far? She nods a little uncertainly. The Tao warns us to beware the flowery trappings of the path, or words to that effect. There are many things to see and do on the path to awakening. It's all new and magical. There are points, for instance, where you can stop and develop what you might consider special powers. Prophecy, telepathy, mediumship, magical arts, plate spinning, whatever. During Zen meditation, Zazen, the student might merge into timeless unity consciousness. He might unravel all the complexities of his life in a single glorious sitting. He might feel that he has vomited a gigantic ball of molten lead that has resided in his chest for years. He might descend into the pits of hell and slay all his demons. After such experiences, he might run to his master to share his victories and experiences, thinking he's well on the road to enlightenment, only to have the master splash him with cold water by calling it Meikyo. Marla is frowning now, realizing that she's the one being splashed with cold water. When a Zen master uses the term Meikyo, he's telling his students that the precious gems they're stopping to pick up or the pretty flowers they're pausing to collect only have value or beauty in the world they've chosen to leave behind. The Tao says, beware the flowery trappings, because in order to possess them or benefit from them, you must cease your journey. Stay in the dream. Ultimately, they're just a distraction from the tricky business of waking up. Breaking free of delusion takes everything you have. The price of truth is everything. Everything. That's the rule, and it's inviolable. She looks sad. I continue in a gentler tone. I'm explaining Meikyo because this is what's happening here. You have had some profound insights in meditation, and you've brought them to me. Understandably so. Western spirituality seems to equate enlightenment with self-perfection, so it's natural to assume that ridding yourself of mental and emotional baggage is the way to go. But what I'm telling you is that within the context of searching for enlightenment, your experiences are Meikyo. You bring me these priceless jewels, and I'm telling you that you should flush them down the toilet and move on. I pause to let that sink in. The point here is less to aid Marla in her quest for enlightenment than to help her see that she's not on one. I sometimes wonder if I would make a good Zen master, Roshi, but I don't think so. Or maybe I'd be a great one. Depends on how you look at it. My emblem would be the graphic depiction of the Buddha's head lanced on a pike, complete with dripping blood and dangling viscera. The motto beneath the emblem would be Die. Students would line up outside my door after Zazen to come in and tell me their experiences, and as soon as the first one opened his mouth, I'd start shrieking at the top of my lungs, "You're not him! You're not the real guy! You're the Meikyo guy! You're just the dream character!" I'd probably start hitting the student with a stick at this point, which is one of the perks of being a Zen master. "You're supposed to be dead. Why aren't you dead? Why are you coming to see me? You're the problem. Get out and come back when you're dead. That's the guy I want to talk to, not a stupid dream character. Now get out!" That essentially defines the quest for enlightenment. The you that you think of as you, and that thinks of you as you, and so on, is not you. It's just the character that the underlying truth of you is dreaming into brief existence. Enlightenment isn't in the character, it's in the underlying truth. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a dream character.